Today's daily number, $1.75 million in PPP fraud. People are still out here scamming. I guess they can never get enough of it, but scammers are going to scam, right? So today in our daily show, we're going to talk about stock market rundown, the Ukraine-Russia war updates, the $1.7 million COVID scam, scammy financial advisors, right? Might as well call today Fraudulent Fridays or Scammer Fridays, because we're going to talk a lot about that today. And we need a really feel good story today. So we're going to talk about how Black businesses or how a Black business is helping to promote STEM in the Black community. But let's jump right into it. How y'all doing, everybody? I'm Kamari Ellis. I'm the Finance Rebel. This is the Finance Rebel Show, and today is the daily number, right? So the daily number is $1.75 million. We like to talk about, or I like to talk about the news every day to just show how you can kind of clue in on the news and how it can help you figure out different ways to make money and build wealth for you, yourself, and your community. I'm a tax accountant, so I solve tax people's problems every single day. And I'm a former portfolio manager. And also I like to call myself a reformed financial advisor as well, because it seems like I'm always answering financial advisor-esque questions. They just won't stop. All right. So today, like I said, we're going to jump into it. Now let's jump right into the stock market rundown as we get busy with everything. And let me just share that with you all real quick. Market is doing its thing this week, though. Market's doing its thing this week. It was shaking off all of this stuff that's going on with Russia and Ukraine. Not totally shaking it off, but clearly it's not as bad as it was last week. Clearly not as bad as it was last week. The S&P 500 closed out this week at 4,463, up 1.17% on the day. Actually, again, for the week, I believe we were up over 6%. Now, pay attention to that 5-day number, right? This last week, we're up 6%. I want y'all to see something else that was up as we get a little bit further into the stock market rundown. Year to date, however, the S&P 500, which represents the stock market, when we talk about, is down negative 6.36%. So market's still down year to date. We're only in March, but it's still down. So it's still getting hit pretty hard. All right, oil closed at 105. So oil is still above that $100 barrel number. It's at 105, $105 per barrel. Still up there, still putting pressure on oil and gas. Even though gas prices did come down just a little bit, not enough to take the pressure off the pockets and wallets though, right? So again, the 5 days, the oil's down this week, last 5 days, 3.66%. Might as well say 3.7% down. Oil, however, is still up almost, 40% year to date. So it's still up there. It's still a problem. It's still going to continue to be an issue. Gold, 1921. Gold closed at $1,921 per troy ounce. That's how it's measured. And gold is still up year to date, right? It's still doing its thing. But gold is also down for the week as well. But gold is up 5% for the week, 5% for the year, but it fell 3.5%. So you can see when money moves out of gold, it tends to move into stocks, right? Now, when we look at this last chart for Bitcoin closed at $41,911 per Bitcoin. Bitcoin, however, is up 7.8%, almost 8% for the week. So Bitcoin is moving up or correlated up with the stock market. Now, that can be dangerous if you're basically piling into Bitcoin and the stock market. I mean, you're going to get some diversification because they seem to be running lockstep. And if you want diversification, you're going to need assets that don't move in lockstep. So just keep that in mind. Year to date, Bitcoin is down 9.5%, almost 10% year to date. So as we move out of that, and we go back and we talk about our Russia-Ukraine update, it's been a lot going on. So Putin put on a press conference in Moscow and said he promises to drive even harder into Moscow. They've been suffering some major casualties. I saw on the news that there was a big decorated officer who actually lost his life in this war, a big Russian decorated officer that lost his life in one of the skirmishes there. So that's pretty sad. But Putin said this isn't going to deter him. He's going to keep pushing forward. All right. President Biden warned Xi is the president of China, that if China supports Russia, there will be grave consequences. Grave consequences. So again, all this political theater that's going on, nothing is ever black or white, right? You really have to stay in the gray. You have to look in the gray when it comes to politics, especially international politics. So things are going to be really, really interesting as this goes on. All right, so I want to talk about my first story. First story, like I said, the number today is 1.75 million PPP fraud. Again, still not sure why folks are doing PPP fraud, but that's what they like to do. For some reason, that's what they like to do. Don't understand it, but it is what it is. So let me show this to you real quick as we go through it. Now, this happened in North Carolina, and this is a very, very interesting one, in my opinion. This person was trying to win the best award for creativity, in my opinion. All right, so I'm bringing this up on the screen. This is the official press release from the Department of Justice. All right, so y'all know I like to go straight to the source and get the real facts. So we're not talking about any fiction here on this show. So North Carolina man sentenced for $1.7 million COVID fraud. $1.7 million COVID fraud. I guess this guy was bored. A North Carolina man was sentenced today to 20 months in prison for fraudulently obtaining $1.7 million in Paycheck Protection Program loans guaranteed by the SBA or the Small Business Administration under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act, also known as the CARES Act. All right. So according to court documents, Tristan Bishop Pan, 40, of Garner, submitted numerous fraudulent PPP loan applications to federally insured banks, including on behalf of entities named Pan Insurance Agency, White Walker, Khaleesi, and the Night's Watch. Now, let me know if that gives y'all any clues about this guy's level of creativity. Put in the chat what show he's talking about if you can figure it out. All right, so in support of the fraudulent PPP loan applications, Pan made false statements about the company's employees and payroll expenses. The PPP loan applications were supported by fake documents, including falsified tax filings. Y'all know how I always like to talk to y'all about never, ever, ever filing false tax documents. All right. So then the court document goes on to say, according to court documents, Pan submitted at least 14 PPP loan applications seeking over $6.1 million and received more than $1.7 million in benefits. Pan pleaded guilty to wire fraud in August 2021. Gotta love these folks. Gotta love the creativity of these folks. Did y'all figure out what show it is? What show is he referencing? Well, if you haven't figured it out, this one will tell it all. This one will definitely tell it all. So here again, North Carolina man used Game of Thrones themed companies, White Walker, Khaleesi, and the Night's Watch. So again, if any of y'all are familiar with HBO's mega hit series, The Game of Thrones, you would have picked it up right away. Right away. And so Tristan Pan claimed the companies had tens of thousands of dollars in monthly payroll when in fact he employed no one. Now that's the White Walker right there. Now, again, this doesn't really give any more color to the situation, but I thought this was interesting. Again, Pan claimed the companies employed dozens of people and had tens of thousands of dollars in monthly payroll, right? He similarly applied for loans for several other companies he had created, some bogus and some real. For genuine companies, Pan also accused of significantly inflating the number of employees each company had. I tell you, there's a whole pattern here. If you look at this pattern, every time somebody goes down for PPP fraud, it's always because they falsified documents. If they just told the truth, they wouldn't be going to jail. So you could always say the man is on my neck, the man is after me, but the man is only on your neck when you steal the man's money fraudulently. So listen, stay out of trouble, stay out the way with these folks, stop lying to these people. You know, if you just as a good person, right, as a person of good character, you want good karma, don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie at all. All right. So as we continue on with our Fraudulent Friday coverage, I'm going to show you all some other things. And again, I show you all these cases so one, you can be a better consumer, right? And you can understand what's going on out here. And two, that you never ever cross the path of trying to get slick and get some of this money out here that people think is so easy, so fast, and so clean, but it's never fast, easy, or clean. All right. So this one is my Scammy financial advisor segment, right? So Bard Financial Advisor stayed in business with fake university. Have anybody seen all of these quote unquote alleged schools that are up? All right. So this is a report from Financial Planning magazine. And I just want to show y'all this here. A financial advisor who was barred from the industry over allegations he misappropriated clients' money is accused of defrauding investors again in different scheme 30 years later. So what does that mean? This guy is a habitual line crosser. This guy likes to do things fraudulently. He's scammy. Scammers are going to scam. All right. So despite the SEC banning David Schwimmins in 1992 for association with any broker-dealer, municipal securities broker, RIA. RIA stands for Registered Investment Advisor or Investment Company. He was holding seminars through a business called TradeStream. Now, I'm not making this up, y'all. So I want y'all to be able to see this. Right, Trey, because, you know, everybody's got their super duper program that's able to crack the code and always deliver positive returns, right? So this guy was holding seminars to a business they called TradeStream University and pitching a product he called the TradeStream Algo Fund to retail investors in 2019, according to the regulator's March 7th complaint. Between Algo Fund and at least 4 other investment vehicles and entities, Scheiman's defrauded 25 clients of $6.8 million in a Ponzi scheme. Now, y'all know I've covered Ponzi schemes. I've covered Ponzi schemes. I even went back to the whole beginnings of what Ponzi schemes are. And so all of you should be familiar with Ponzi schemes at this point, because I've talked about it. I've talked about it enough. Now, if you haven't done it, when I share this, there will be a clip up here with a link to the Ponzi scheme videos that I've already done covering this, so you can get up to speed. So here again, 6.8 million. Might as well say 7 million. $7 million this guy has ripped people off for. Now, Scheiman's is a 64-year-old resident of Greensboro, North Carolina. North Carolina is in focus today. They get it popping down there for some reason. Now faces criminal charges of wire fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering, and a civil rap of fraud and other violations. The cases offer the latest example of the problem of so-called recidivist bad actors. And if you don't know what recidivist means, they're like revolving door offenders, or they talk about recidivism a lot when people going back to prison keep going in and out, and they can't figure out how to stay out of jail. They keep committing crimes, going back to jail, doing time, and then coming back out. Same thing for these financial advisors. While they may not be going to jail because the SEC and FINRA really don't regulate them at the level that they should. They don't get hit with penalties. A lot of times they're not doing jail time. If you think back to Madoff, he really made off for a long time, and people have been blowing the whistle on him for quite some time. There are a lot of bad actors in this overall financial services space. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of good ones too. But again, I do these broadcasts so you can know what's real, what's fake, and to keep your guard up at all times. It's like a boxing match. You must protect yourself at all times. Now, the article goes on and says these so-called recidivist bad actors who allegedly commit further misconduct after being dinged earlier in their careers, as well as wandering brokers who continue operating under different registrations after losing one, despite strong rhetoric from regulators and the industry about their crackdowns against such bad actors and the mission of protecting investors. The cases remain a persistent issue. So this keeps happening over and over and over again. So the question is why? Now, I thought this was interesting, but they were quoted here saying, unfortunately, financial services fraud recidivism is far too common and often with tragic results. Very often, the targets are vulnerable adults with limited assets and diminished physical capacity. Now, that's what Louis Straney, a fraud expert, said when he talked about his company, Arbitration Insight, said in the email. A suspension or permanent regulatory bar only closes one channel for fraudulent activities. There are others, and the bad actors are well aware of those. Again, scammers are going to scam. They know how to do it. They are professionals at scammers. All right, so here is some more of this right here, right? This is not the first time that David Scheinmans has been charged by the SEC for misconduct and serves as a good reminder for investors to research potential advisors. SEC New York Regional Director Richard Best said in a statement, before entrusting someone with managing your money, investors should visit investor.gov, where they can start to vet potential advisors. What the regulators' press release trumpeting the case failed to mention, though, is that the broker check is a service that the SEC provides. The broker check file for Scheinman that shows up on the website for investors contains only a short summary of the prior case on page 7 of this detailed report. The disclosure contains very little detail about the case of any investors who did take the step of looking for Scheinman's file. So what they're talking about here, and I pulled this up, is that the SEC has what's called broker check. You can look at broker check anytime you're looking to engage with any financial advisor. Shoot, I think I even have a broker check. It's not really accurate, but it's up there. Google my name, you'll find broker check. I don't have any of my securities licenses anymore. I let them all go because it's like being licensed to sell, and I don't want to sell. But when you're looking at this guy's broker check, it's sparse, right? So disclosures. When you look at disclosures, it says 0. Some of the stuff should have been disclosed. It talked about his 7 years of experience, his 8 exams passed, his 0 licenses right now. And then when you go forward and do it now, you can go through and click on here. It says detailed report. I already did that already. So it pulls this up here. And as I said, if you go to page 7, it lists some of the stuff, but you got to jump through all these hoops to really get to the meat of the issue. So here on page 7, it talks about, let's see. I don't know if that's good or not, but it talks about in June of 1992, the Securities and Exchange Commission had an issue with him. They laid it out. And let me see here. The president and general securities and financial and operations principal of Carolina First Securities Group, a registered broker advisor operating in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The commission simultaneously accepted offers of settlement in which he consisted the entry of an order barring him from association with any broker dealer. So here he talks about how he was permanently enjoined, which means he couldn't do any more business without admitting or denying the allegation. So he never admitted anything. He got a slap on the wrist, went away for a little while. Looks like he paid a $5,000 bill in 1990, but was still kind of free to frolic and sell and defraud folks. So you got to be careful out here, folks. You got to be careful out here, folks, because sadly, there are people out here looking to get your money and separate you from your money at all costs. At all costs. So you got to be careful about this. It's a problem. It's a problem. All right. Now, let's end this day on a high note. Let's talk about something good. Brown Toy Box. Brown Toy Box is a toy company that is Black owned. And I wanted to talk about this, right? So Brown Toy Box aims to inspire Black kids to pursue STEAM careers. And I'm so happy they called it STEAM. And what is STEAM? And they're going to go through it again. But STEAM is, you normally hear about STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, and math. That's STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. I like the term STEAM, though. STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Because, we can talk about the math and the sciences, which are kind of rigid a lot of times. But when you have creativity can lead to understanding the hard, rigid things and applying them in ways nobody ever thought about before when you are creative. So again, it's great to kind of spread the brain and do both sides of the brain, the left and the right of the brain, right? Science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. All right. But I wanted to go over this video that they shared with the owner, the founder, a sister who's basically doing her thing. So let's check this out real quick, y'all.
The toy industry definitely has a representation problem. It was really important that as kids go down the toy aisle, they're able to see themselves represented in the packaging. And that's what we're working to do through all of our toys.
Now, I don't want to get in trouble with the people and they say I just stole their stuff. So I want to skip through to a different points of the clip so we all can look at it.
My name is Terry Nichelle Bradley. I am the founder and CEO of Brown Toy Box. I am a mother of 4. I was working in a career field that I just did not enjoy. Trying to find, what is my purpose? What should I be doing? What can I be doing? And where is there a need?
Now that sounds like so many people who are really lost right now and are unhappy with their jobs. And she said, no, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. So let's go through this.
And we focus on STEAM themes that are really going to be the future of work. So we're trying to get children to have early exposure to science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and do it in a way that's fun and accessible and culturally representative. So our first line of toys really is led by the DC Academy crew. The DC means curious in Swahili, and that's what we're working to do through all of our toys and our products, is to cultivate curiosity. For each STEAM theme that we focus on, there is a character that represents that. Oscar is from Paris, France, and he represents marine biology. And Michaela's from Atlanta, Georgia, and she represents museum arts. Maya is from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and she represents coding and app development. And so really it's to help children to be able to really see themselves represented in these different themes. My dream is having that person walk up to me, say, I decided to take up marine biology. Because of Brown Toy Box, that would be a huge win. Being a small business owner as a Black woman, you get to not only determine your own future, but you get to help create change for your community. I'm very intentional about making sure that where I can, I'm doing trade and doing business with other Black women-owned, Black-led organizations and companies so that we can see our dollars circulate in this community a little bit more, so we can become job creators, so we can be the change that we seek.
Now, how many of y'all know how impressed I was when she said that? I don't know. Again, I don't think a lot of us get how important it is for us to do business with other Black-owned businesses. It needs to be the standard. It needs to be the standard.
So we're not waiting for someone to come rescue us. No one's coming to save us, right? So for me, Brown Toy Box is an economic driver just as much as it is a tool for educating and disrupting generational poverty. We have had some amazing wins, just going from, hey, this is just an idea, to pitching Target and them calling us back 2 days later and saying, hey, we really want you in store, right? It was a huge, huge win. And then really just being a resource to a lot of Title I schools during the pandemic. So to have this little idea in my head, right? And then to go on to create these amazing toys that are so intentionally created. I'm so proud of that.
So I was thoroughly impressed by that. That actually made my day. I always love seeing Black-owned businesses win. It's refreshing to me, because honestly, we always see the opposite so many times. We always see the negative, somebody getting locked up, somebody, doing something nefarious, and that ain't the truth. There's a lot of good people out here. There's a lot of good people out here. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you are enjoying these daily briefings I'm dropping every day, do me a favor, drop a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel. All right. So as always, thank you for joining me. I'm always humbled by y'all's presence. All right. Continue to be great. Always be love, and continue seeking the light. Until the next time, I'm Kamari Ellis, and I will be back the next time. Later, y'all.